Welcome to Aurelius Whitlock's Murder Museum.
I'm Marcus Richardson.
And I'm Nathan Hicken. And Marcus is currently talking to Director Vincent Elwood of Fort Wichita in the Lighthouse as a fire rages outside.
Casually. If you don't mind me asking, Wichita doesn't actually have a bay in real life, right? Or is this an actual place?
This is not an actual place. This is it. Yes, no. Wichita does not actually have a bay, as far as I'm aware.
Because isn't Wichita in Oklahoma? Is that right?
It's in Kansas.
It's in Kansas. Okay.
So
Cool.
no bays there, but this one is on the East Coast.
The most fantastical thing that we've ever had in this podcast is
Oh
Wichita
yes. I this is gonna be fantasy. I know. So.
All right. I'm talking with Vincent Elwood. I'm sure there are a lot of places I can go and a lot of people I can talk to, but I'm here now with him. So
Yes.
I'm going to ask him a few questions. Vincent, do you think that this is going to drive down tourist visits? The fact that we've had another death here at the fort?
A very good question. I appreciate the business-minded fellow as yourself. Well, there is a market for haunted tours, and I'm always looking to squeeze a few more dollars out of the unlucky tourists, if you know what I mean.
Yes. And the day that my father has died, this is a very appropriate time to be talking about it as well.
His face kind of
Maybe
falls.
maybe we could start a true crime podcast.
I'm always down to find a side hustle. I'm not too great with electronics, but I will give it a shot.
Interesting. I would like to piece together what exactly has happened. Would you mind telling me where you were last night? What is your alibi for the past bit?
Ah, my alibi. Right. Shouldn't we leave that to the coppers?
Believe it or not, I'm pretty invested in the death of my father. So I would love to... Hey, tell the police as well. That's fine. But I would like to hear it as well.
Fair enough. Well, I spent a little time at the office and got a drink down at the pub. Other than that, it was a quiet evening till I was woken by the ruckus this morning. Apologies, not to sound dismissive of your father's death.
Was I at the bar with you?
Not with me, you weren't.
And who was I there with?
Is this some sort of quiz?
Yes, either that or I am having a bit of amnesia. Whichever story sounds more plausible to you is the correct one. I would love to hear, though, who I was at the bar with. I know that I ordered 2 drinks, so I know I was there with someone.
I like your humor, kid. Well, you were up there with, I believe, Mr. McGuire.
And what's his first name? This is part of the quiz.
Ah, well, that'd be Riley. He's been sticking around this fort like a barnacle on a boat.
What does he do?
Well, he says he does a little bit of everything, but right now he's trying to buy up the land around here, and word on the street is you owe him quite a bit of money.
I mean, good to know, definitely. And you don't get along with him? You're not interested in selling the fort?
Interested? Well, the idea appeals to me, but unfortunately he's only interested if the lighthouse comes with it.
And do you know why the lighthouse is so valuable to him?
Well, he wants the whole property. I offered him just the fort, but no takers.
Interesting. I'll need to chat with him and see if anything has changed this last night. Speaking of the lighthouse, tell me a little bit how you feel about the lighthouse keeper. What was your connection with my father?
Ah, your father. He was an unhappy man. It wouldn't surprise me if he drank himself to death. Haven't seen much from him in the last year. Keeps to himself, especially after the incident, but I guess I admired his stubbornness.
Stubbornness in not selling the lighthouse?
In many ways, he was Not an easy man to get along with, but it feels weird to speak ill of the dead.
Mm-hmm. So let me see if I have the story right. Rose Cuthbert died
May she rest in peace.
almost a year ago to this day, fell from the lighthouse on a dark night when the lighthouse was not operational. Fast forward a year, the lighthouse, I assume, was dark last night. In fact, I know that from a memory that I have of being on the stairs in pitch black. The lighthouse yet again was dark. Was this a point of pride or stubbornness on my father's part? Did he not use the lighthouse, or did he always make sure it was on? Either way.
He was a very studious keeper, especially after the accident. But the lighthouse light isn't always on when there's no ships in the area. And I suspect perhaps he kept it off tonight as a sign of respect. Though I wasn't there.
You said earlier you're not very good with electronics, but while I'm just thinking out loud, could he perhaps, if the lighthouse shut off and it was not his intention to have it off, might he have used a car battery to jumpstart the light? I assume that if there were ships out there, it would be a matter of life and death for him to turn the lighthouse on.
It would be, and especially after the incident. So usually there's a backup generator. Whenever the power goes out, the lighthouse is tied to the grid here. If the power goes out here in Wichita Bay or the fort, it usually goes off everywhere, so the lighthouse is out. Fortunately, it has a backup generator. Unfortunately, the story goes, so I'm told, that the generator was offline and was being put in for repairs. After the incident, we started carrying extra batteries in the fort should the need arise.
Now, specifically this instant you're talking about, the death of Rose.
May she rest in peace.
Thank you. That is also a part of the test. There was also a ship that ran aground, whatever it's called.
Yes. May they rest in peace.
Thank you. Also important that you say that. Tell me more. What do you know about this? Did anyone survive from that vessel?
Sadly, no. I'm told there were no survivors. In fact, we were never even able to recover the ship itself, let alone any bodies.
Then how do you know that there was a shipwreck?
Oh, because the ship was supposed to dock in the nearby port, but it never arrived, and we have multiple witnesses to the terrible sound the crash made.
What kind of vessel was it? Was there anything on board besides passengers?
It was not a passenger ship. It was a small merchant ship coming over from Europe, I believe, owned by the Scarcity Corporation.
Company names. Always important to write those down. I don't suppose that a certain enterprising business gentleman, Riley McGuire, has any connection to the Scarcity Corporation?
Not that I know of, but I don't know all his business dealings, though the Scarcity Corporation is well known in their field.
Of
jewelry and antiques.
Sounds like an interesting occurrence a year ago. It sounds like a very valuable shipwreck.
Yes.
Aside, not out loud, would a jewelry/antique place ever intentionally stage a shipwreck to make that which was recovered more valuable? That would be a pretty wild plot, but in this world, businesses they do all sorts of wacky stuff. Or really, was it truly an accident? I'll have to learn more about this. Vince, if I can call you Vince, what else springs to mind as you recall the events of last night and the year prior, I guess?
Well, it was the shipwreck was big to do. All the publicity here, and your father was pretty much at the center of it, with him being the lighthouse keeper, and it was found that since the ship couldn't see the light, that they probably crashed as a result of that, but he was ultimately found not at fault, so silver lining, eh?
And how does Rose factor into this?
Rose, well...
May she rest in peace.
Yes, may she rest in peace. Story goes, she fell from the lighthouse that night. Whether she threw herself off or slipped off is not my place to speculate. But it tore up your old man pretty good. But she wasn't the only death that night. 6 others lost their lives, along with a beautiful ship. May she rest in peace.
And the 6 individuals you're talking about were on the ship.
Yes,
You're talking
the
about
crew.
passengers. Okay.
Yes, sir, the crew of the Illinois.
Huh.
I wish listeners you could see the flat look Marcus just gave me.
It's all connected. The Illinois someday will be revered by a principal in in a high school somewhere far off.
Interesting notion.
Yeah, what was her name? Was her name Elwood? That can't be right.
Her name was. I mean, I don't know any.
I don't need to know this. This is
principal-
not pertinent.
Not to talking to Vincent Elwood right now. I said in the third person.
Okay. Tragedy strikes a year ago. There was no ships last night that we know of. Is that right?
There was none scheduled. I keep a pretty close eye on the comings and goings. Of course, so does the lighthouse keeper. But
Where would he keep those records?
well, I assume in his study. But he also mails off his records at the first of the month, or the first week of the month, which he was supposed to mail them off today. But since he's dead, I don't know where they'd be.
Maybe I should check the office.
Yes.
Well, while I have you here, could you tell me a little bit, what are your feelings towards the Carlisle sisters?
Ah, Genevieve and Emmeline, 2 of our finest reporters and 2 of our only reporters. They are our only reporters, yes. They run the Wichita Whaler. They've been doing so for a little bit now. Came out here from an internship from college and have been doing good work, though the older one is a little bit restless, Genevieve. She seems to have big ambitions. Doesn't like being stuck in one place for too long.
Now, this is an important point to me. The Wichita Whaler, is that whaler as in one who wails or screams, or whaler as in one who catches whales?
Haha. Yes. Great question. Unfortunately, perhaps less excitingly, it is the first one. So, the Wichita Whaler, Wailer.
Thank you. I thought it might be onto something. And they are in period dress, right? Like they are a part of the shtick of the fort.
When we can get them to dress up, but they're free spirits, if you know what I mean, and tend to ignore the rules, especially Genevieve.
Well, walk me through, what is the Wichita Bay Fort experience supposed to be? People come and what do they do? Are there activities?
There are plenty of activities. There's stick and hoop games. There's getting put in the stocks and laughed at by the common folk.
That's a good
There's
one.
churning butter. And of course, our ever popular trying the local grog.
Delightful.
It's delightful. It's no wonder we are packed to the brim every day. I guarantee it.
Interesting. Well, I don't think I have any more questions for you right now. Is there anything that you were looking for? Are you just cowering down in here while the fire rages?
Yes, just cowering down in this comfortable room. He kind of sits on the edge of the bed and gives you a thumbs up.
Should I find that suspicious or just awkward?
Definitely awkward. However, you can find it as suspicious as you'd like.
Someone who's like, yes, this room is very nice. Pat, pat, bed, thumbs up. It's like, what?
Yep.
Is there something hidden in here? Could I look around this room?
You certainly can. There is a lot in this room. So, like I said, it is a combination study/bedroom. So there is a nice 4-poster bed. There is a stately large desk on the other side, covered in papers and pens and whatnot. It looks pretty scattered. like the person had their own special way of filing things away. There's a portrait, a little family portrait on the desk as well, which is really nice. There are various books on the shelves, along with various knickknacks and whatnot.
I'd like to look at that family portrait.
Okay, it's of a younger keeper, less grizzled. There's a young boy on his lap and a laughing woman behind them. You assume this is a family portrait of you as a young lad.
I should probably take this portrait so I can look at it longingly, as detectives should, you know?
Yes, as a reminder. Yes.
Of
Okay, it goes into your
family
inventory.
that I don't know. Great. How about the desk? Scattered papers.
Okay, so you see a couple of, there's newspapers, so there's copies of the Wichita Whaler. There is a little bowl of half-eaten walnuts, shells and all. There is a tape recorder. There is various pens and pencils. And again, a couple of random books. Yeah. Yes.
The tape recorder.
You inspect it closer, and it seems to be a tape recorder. You've pressed play, and nothing plays out.
It looks like nothing has been recorded on this at any point?
Yes. Oh, well, there's no tape in it.
Oh, okay. Let's hold on to that. I'll put that
'Kay.
in my inventory as well.
Inventory, tape recorder, and portrait.
Director Elwood just watches me put a portrait and a tape recorder in my pockets, I presume. When I have a bag. I have Genevieve's bag.
Yes. You put it with the sanguine serpent. As important as these other items.
I would say so. The portrait, that has a lot of value.
Yes. 100%.
What kind of books are here?
You see some basic, some nice naval, maritime terminology books. There's a spicy sailor romance that looks unopened. There is a book on animals, which is really fun. It looks like it specializes in reptiles.
Like sanguine serpents?
Like serpents, not necessarily sanguine serpents, but if you want to take a quick perusal through, you can see if you can find anything.
Why not? I'm thinking about
'Kay.
snakes.
So you flip through. You can find an entry in the appendix for sanguine serpent. You go to the mention on the page. All you can find is an entry of a snake mentioning that this particular snake, the eastward mercer, is supposedly the inspiration behind the mythical artifact, the sanguine serpent.
Eastward mercer.
Yes. Here. In fact.
Okay. Well, what I have here is a page, 2 pages from this book, and there are 4 different entries. There's Hawking's Constrictor, the Eastward Mercer, the Mystic Rulkin, and Desert's Scorn. Are you laughing at me because I pronounced something wrong?
No, I've had a lot of fun coming up with the names of animals recently. And yeah, I just enjoy it a lot.
You're just giggling to yourself. You're like, oh man, those were good names. I did so good.
Yeah. In case listeners don't know, we designed a aviary exhibit for Rise of the Golden Idol, and getting to name all those fake birds was very delightful. So,
well, these pages give identification help and also what to do if you get bitten. I'm noticing here 2 of them have antidotes that involve walnuts or walnut shells. I think it's better to be safe than sorry, so I think my hand is gonna shove into this bowl of walnuts and grab a couple shells and walnuts.
fair enough.
You never know. It looks like this might be helpful if I encounter any snakes. But what are the odds of that? With my luck, if there's a snake, it's gonna be the Desert Scorn, which it says Its bite will cause the victim's limbs to enlarge and swell, and perhaps most concerning, their eyes pop out. Death is instant. Though me reading that right now makes me wonder if one of these, the symptom is go rigid, go stiff like a board, because that is how a man was found dead. Okay, the eastward mercer itself. Let's read that one. The eastward mercer's bite is one of the most fast-acting and potent venoms produced in the animal kingdom. Symptoms include blackening of the lips, reddening of the eyes, dizziness, and fainting, all within 24 hours of ingestion. Bred in captivity, the mercer typically has a diet of rodents and is easily identifiable by the zigzag pattern on its back. This snake is said to be the inspiration behind the mythical artifact, the sanguine serpent. Antidote: strong spirits, beetroot, walnut shell, mint leaf. I assume all together.
One at a time applied to them. Yes, no, yeah.
Okay.
You assume correct.
The voice from the book tells me so. Okay. Harkening back to the body, he did have blackness around the lips.
Yes. And his eyes were bloodshot and red.
At the time, I thought it might have been a symptom of alcohol. Now, the dead man had a book about snakes. I did look like this book was like based on the growiness of the pages. Was this read by people, or is it just like a book that popped out to me in a large bookshelf?
Looks like a book that popped out. It doesn't look particularly loved.
Mm-hmm.
So, thus.
Well, this seems like this could very well be the way that the keeper died. I mean, I'll obviously keep this book with me in case I need to refer back to it.
Well, what are the odds of that?
Who knows?
You know.
I guess I also should be... Oh, okay. Strong spirits reminds me of something that I want to say on here. The body had a bottle in its pocket, a glass bottle in its pocket. What are the odds that he, falling to his death, the bottle remains intact? I don't know if his coat would have the proper padding for such a thing. And the existence of it being there adds to Mango's swift and obviously correct theory that he was...
Yes.
merely drank too much and fell off of the tower. Alternatively, if a person were to try to make this look like an accident, a drunken accident, maybe they would have placed a bottle in his pocket after he had already fallen. Something to think about.
Indeed.
Nathan is scratching his non-existent chin beard hairs.
Yes.
As a side note, I think that people hopefully don't know what we look like. If they know what we look like, then I will be surprised. But I am interested to hear what people think we look like, because I have a beard and Nathan does not. I don't know.
Yes. Does that come across in our audio?
Does Nathan sound like a person who wears glasses? Another question.
Yes.
Anyway, drop in the comments below if you imagined Marcus with a beard. I'm genuinely curious.
That'd be delightful. I think that should be the question after this episode on Spotify.
Sure, why not? Okay. Did I learn everything I can from the scattered papers? I would like to look over these, specifically looking for any report about incoming ships.
Okay. So you look through the papers, looking for a report of incoming ships. There's nothing on the top of the desk. There are drawers as well, but you do find a newspaper with a article.
Nathan has sent me an image of the Wichita whaler, which would have answered my question about whaler or whaler, because it's written right there. August 12th, 1998. Melanoy Massacre. The names of the sailors killed in the horrific crash that occurred this past week have been released by the Scarcity Corporation, the owners of the shipment that the Melanoy was transporting to Wichita Bay. Captain Stefan Montgomery, at home with a bottle of Mariner's Lightning, Anne Neve, a gravedigger's daughter, Georgia Boyle, from the shores of the Riviera, Alistair Ratchet, a clockmaker turned sailor, Susan Durkins, our own pride and joy, Oswin Summers, from the base of Mount Mitchell. That's an interesting way to eulogize people, and it definitely makes me think there is something to be learned here. At the very least, there was a Susan Durkins on the boat. What are you laughing at?
Oh, nothing. Susan Durkins is a. I was looking at my collection of Calvin and Hobbes comics when I picked that name.
Oh, but our own pride and joy makes me think that they're from Wichita. Is that not right?
That is a correct assumption.
I thought I recognized the name. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. There's also scrawled on here, "It's our fault," which, I mean, ostensibly it is the lighthouse's fault that this happened. On this article, there's also an image, and it shows lightning and a storm. Makes me wonder if lightning was involved at that accident a year ago. Don't you want to live your life in a way that you can be eulogized by at home with a bottle of Mariner's Lightning?
Absolutely.
He really lived a captain's life. That's Stefan Montgomery. But then we have a grave digger daughter from the shores of the Riviera, a clockmaster turned sailor, our own pride and joy, and from the base of Mount Mitchell. Interesting. I mean, I definitely acquire this document.
Goes into your inventory.
But have I looked in the drawers yet?
No. If you'd like to look in the drawers, you can.
May I please?
Haha. Okay, so you go through the drawers and you find a couple of things. You find a coil of green climbing rope. You find a screwdriver. And you find a sealed envelope.
I'm going to open that envelope right away.
You tear open the envelope, and inside you find the records for what you assume are the last month's comings and goings. This seems like the report that the lighthouse keeper was going to mail off today.
Okay, what does it say?
It seems to be, as far as your eyes, normal comings and goings. Nothing crazy, not a crazy amount of turning on the light or whatnot. Seems fairly normal.
Am I able to discern, was there a ship scheduled to arrive last night?
There was not.
There was not. Okay, well, I will hold on to all three of these things, the rope and the screwdriver as well. I am curious. I think I will go back up to the top of the lighthouse. Before I do, is Vincent Elwood just kind of hanging around this room like he's waiting for me to leave?
He is watching you very closely.
Vincent, will you join me up on the roof?
Absolutely. What you got there? He gestures to the pile of rope, screwdriver, and envelope in your hands.
I have a rope, a screwdriver, and an envelope. Is that not clear?
Is that the Lightkeeper's report? That needs to be mailed off immediately.
Well, as next of kin, I will be holding on to this for now. I don't have a good reason to give it to you, but I don't have a good reason not to. Or wait, I have.
But as fort director, I'd be more than happy to drop it up at our local post office. I know how important it was to your father to get those on time.
And why is it so important to you?
Well, I like to run a tight ship, or fort, excuse me.
Now, yeah, what exactly is your interest in the comings and goings? I would have assumed it was just when there are people in the area to invite into the fort.
Oh, I have no interest in comings and goings particularly, but I do like to see all the reports and documents filed away correctly. I'm a big paperwork man.
Interesting. I don't know what to make of that. I think I will hand him the envelope, and I want to see how he takes it. Does he look at it? Does he scramble to...
He doesn't look at it. He tucks it away inside a little pocket of his.
And he pats his lapel, as Nathan did now. I'll still see if he wants to join me up on the roof of the lighthouse.
If it helps cope with your impending loss and mourning process, then absolutely. But I am happy to stay here if not. He seems at ease.
Interesting. Well, do what you want. I'm gonna go upstairs all the way pondering, why did he want that list? And did I do something wrong by giving it to him? Could there have been a code in it? I wouldn't have known if there was. Could there be some information? A forgery? I don't know. But I do want to go upstairs and use the screwdriver onto the generator.
All right. So you use the screwdriver on the generator. You find a couple things. You find a scrap of paper. You find a bunch of wires that you could potentially use to connect things to it. And you find a jar of sand. As you pick up the jar of sand, your vision swims black. And all of a sudden, you're standing above the generator. It's dark. And you have a hammer in your hand. And you're bringing it down on the generator, blow after blow, until it stops sparking.
And there's sand there?
The jar of sand is there.
What does sand have to do with it?